Let us start with the 12th class of most important current affairs series for the UPSC Prelims 2020. These 5 topics all came in month of April and all are related to economy. These 5 topics we are planning to do in this lecture, and probably our next lecture and maybe next to next lecture will also be dedicated to April month current affairs of economy only. Then we will move to May month economy section. Some of the topics you see today or tomorrow might be repeated from the reports and indices lectures, but that is okay. That will be a revision, so it won't harm you, it will only benefit you. Anyway, what we are going to do today, the first topic is minor forest produce. And why this is in news? Central government has revised the minimum support price for minor forest produce, and they have done it earlier than expected. Generally it is revised in 3 years, but they have revised it earlier because many tribals are affected by this COVID-19 situation, so they need to get some extra remuneration. That is why MSP has been revised earlier than expected, and that is why minor forest produce is in news. Second is draft electricity amendment bill. Why in news? Because it is a bill, and this bill has come for the 4th time. Previous 3 bills have gone, and this is the newest one, 2020 bill. So we are trying to do some changes in electricity sector, and from 2014 we are drafting bills. Finally this 4th bill has come. Let us see what happens to this. And the third topic will be global energy review. This is by International Energy Agency. So we will also read about International Energy Agency and why this is important, because in COVID-19 situation all the energy sector consumption has reduced. So there is a concern going worldwide. That's why this news becomes important. Public utility service. This is very important because again related to COVID-19 situation only, that public sector banks are declared as, banking services are declared as public utility service, so that there is no hartal or something during this COVID-19 situation, and banks should function. So that is why they are declared as public utility service, so that they don't go for a strike or lockdown or lockout. Okay, so we will try to understand the term lockout, what is strike, and by which act this public sector bank or banking services have been declared as public utility service for 6 months. We will discuss everything. The last topic will be International Labour Organizations monitor, ILO monitor COVID-19, and this will be the 4th monitor report of COVID-19, sorry, 3rd one. Okay, while I produced this lecture in the month of May only, the 4th monitor also came. Okay, this International Labour Organization is releasing these reports, ILO monitor, during COVID-19, and it looks into the outlook of the world of work. Okay, how many employment, how many laborers are working and all, how much money they are getting, there is lockdown or not in that country. Everything is present in this report, and this report we discussed today will be the 3rd report. Before this 2 reports came, and in May month 27 month probably the 4th report also has come. That we will see in May month current affairs. So these are 5 topics, and that was the introduction of these topics. So let us start with minor forest produce. So as I already told you that central government has revised the MSP or minimum support price for minor forest produce. That is why this topic is in news. And what is MSP? MSP is not for you. Okay, MSP is not for you. MSP rate is for the government and the producers. So the government buys some produce from farmers, agricultural products, or tribals, they produce the forest products. So these things from farmers and tribals are given some minimum support price. Okay, that minimum rate at which government buys products from farmers and tribals, that is minimum support price, and then they will sell it to you at whatever Food Corporation of India might be involved and any other agency. That is like a redistribution. Okay, taking things in minimum support price and redistributing it to the poor and the needy. Idea of MSP is to counter price volatility of commodities. How does price volatility in commodities occurs? Suppose one year there is surplus production, the price will reduce, and there is some year there is drought, so minimum production and the price will go up. So for that buffer we need to procure a lot of grains and other things. So that is why government prescribes this MSP, and price volatility in the market is controlled for the commodities. So what happens that Ministry of Tribal Affairs, okay, this MSP is by Ministry of Tribal Affairs, you should remember that. Can you tell me the departments under Ministry of Tribal Affairs in the comment section? If somebody knows that, please answer that so that other people will also come to know about that. So Ministry of Tribal Affairs has a pricing cell constituted under it, and that pricing cell determines or revises this minimum support price for minor forest produce. Okay, and this is generally revised in 3 years, okay, after a period of 3 years. But today it has been revised earlier than 3 years. And why? Because COVID-19 situation, many tribals are facing this unemployment situation and their produces are not sold in the market. So that is why there has been a revision earlier than expected. Less than 3 years have been taken and the product prices or MSP have been revised. So center declares this MSP, but which organization does the procurement? Obviously the state government will do that, okay, because jungles are in a state government. How can central government go in every jungle and forest produce and talk to tribals? No, that is not possible. Procurement operation will be taken by states. So center has asked the states that we have declared the MSP for MFP, now please procure from tribals and give them some extra remuneration. So while central government is instructing a state government to do the procurement, there might be some gaps and the state government may not be very enthusiastic about it. So for that, government has done something. Government has created an online monitoring dashboard, and that dashboard will be called Vanadhan. Vanadhan, that is forest produce. Vanadhan Monit dashboard. For monitoring this procurement by the state government, central government has created Vanadhan monitoring board dashboard or Vanadhan Monit dashboard, and there will be reporting of procurement activities undertaken at the state level under this on this dashboard, Vanadhan Monit dashboard. You should remember that. Under the Ministry of Tribal Affairs, there is an organization, TriFed. I will tell you about this later, don't worry. So TriFed has a program E-Sampark Setu. E is electronic, Sampark is connectivity, Setu is bridge, okay. So for that communication, procurement and everything, this TriFed already had a E-Sampark Setu. So this dashboard is part of this E-Sampark Setu by TriFed. So how does the information come here? A state government won't be telling everything correctly. So this E-Sampark Setu or your dashboard, Vanadhan Monit dashboard, will be directly interacting or getting the information from every village panchayat, and there is Vanadhan Kendra also. This initiative is also from the Ministry of Tribal Affairs, and it was also in news but before the month of March, so that you must have already read. So Vanadhan Kendra and every village panchayat will be providing direct information to central government through this monitoring dashboard, and that is how the government will come to know about the procurement situation. And how they will provide the information? Either by dropping an email or by mobile phone calling or SMS. And last thing, that how does a state does the procurement? The state government does the procurement by Vanadhan Kendra only. Vanadhan Kendra is the primary procurement agent for minor forest produce procurement from Hat Bazaars. There are tribal Hat Bazaars or Hatia, you say, tribal small markets, and from that Hat Bazaar, this Vanadhan Kendra does the procurement by the state government. This is appointed by the Vanadhan Kendra is appointed by the state government, and this is the primary procurement agency, you should know. So many people might be confused about what is minor forest produce. Name says it all, not major, not timber. Previously bamboo was in timber, but recently bamboo has been taken out from it. So not all bamboo, okay, bamboo lying outside the jungle. Anyway, so what kind of things are minor forest produce? See, all non-timber forest produce, for example, lac, honey, gum, tendu leaves, these are non-timber forest produce. So tribals still do gathering in the forest. They will collect it and sell it in this Vanadhan Kendra or Hat Bazaar. So these should be of plant origin, okay, because we are talking about minor forest produce. That doesn't mean that we kill the animals and tigers and say that this is the minor forest produce. No, this should be from plant origin. For example, bamboo, canes, fodder. Cane has a very utility. This is a very usable thing, cane, okay. There are many chairs made from cane, and artificial limbs are also made from cane. So cane is important. Fodder, leaves, for example, tendu leaves for BD making, gums, resins, waxes, dyes. So all these things are minor forest produce. You understand that, right? And also the nuts, okay, wild fruits, honey, lac, tassar, these things. There are many medicinal herbs also that are also in minor forest produce. Around 100 million forest dwellers depend on minor forest produce in our country, and they depend on it for food, shelter, medicine, and cash income also. And also this is the dependency number, okay, 100 million forest dwellers. And if you talk about the economy, annual income, tribals annual income, 20 to 40% is totally coming from minor forest produce only. So that is why we need to revise their MSP time to time. There was a HUC committee related to this that came in May 2011, and that said that in that time, procurement of 14 major minor forest produce. So see, here I'm telling that 14 major minor forest produce. Don't get confused, okay? Under the minor forest produce, the important ones were 14 in number. That was 1900 crore worth value, including tendu and bamboo, which are very costly because they have a very good economic value. So that is the importance of minor forest produce procurement and everything. There is a strong linkage between women's financial empowerment and these minor forest produce, because in tribal areas mostly this gathering is done by women of the society only. So I told you that I will be talking about TriFed also. So what is TriFed? It is under Ministry of Tribal Affairs, and TriFed full form is Tribal Cooperative Marketing Development Federation of India. Okay, that is TriFed. If you abbreviate it, you won't come to directly this. So that is why you should remember that Tribal Cooperative Marketing Development Federation of India becomes TriFed. This is a national organization and it is under the control of Ministry of Tribal Affairs, or you simply say MOTA. Objective is what? Objective is socio-economic development of tribal people by giving a market to them or marketing their products. It was created in 1987. TriFed is actually a PSU, public sector undertaking under the MOTA ministry. Now let us start with Draft Electricity Amendment Bill 2020. This bill is in drafting stage. Why? This was recently made public for feedback from stakeholders, different stakeholders. It was published by the government and feedback was expected. So what does the draft say? See, this draft is totally focused on privatization of distribution company. Discoms are there, distribution companies for the electricity. The bill talks about privatization of them so that the efficiency can be brought and also the cost effectiveness can be brought, and also we reduce the subsidy, the cross subsidy, because we subsidize, we take extra money from industries and we provide free electricity to people. So many people are saying that that reduces the ease of doing business. So there should be cost reflectiveness in electricity tariff and subsidy should be reduced. So that is the purpose of the bill, privatization, reduction of subsidy. And also because many people are doing the online payment and all, so we need the payment security mechanism also. And last thing, that this bill tries to create an authority. That authority will be known as Electricity Contract Enforcement Authority. So if this bill becomes an act, so this Electricity Contract Enforcement Authority will become a statutory body. And the purpose of this Electricity Contract Enforcement Authority is to bring investment and ease of doing business in the power sector of the country, which is very much lagging behind. As I told you in the introduction, this is the fourth draft of Electricity Amendment Bill since 2014. Okay, the first bill came in 2014. It was introduced in the Lok Sabha, and it thought to separate carriage and content electricity distribution business. What is that? That means the bill has this option to the consumers. They can change their service provider. That means they can change their electricity distribution companies, like you change your mobile phone services, right? You switch from Airtel to Vodafone or Jio. So you could switch on from one discom company to another company according to their different rates, so that this competitiveness can be brought in this sector. But unfortunately, the bill lapsed because Lok Sabha resolution was done before passing the bill. Then second and third drafts came in 2018 and 2019, and everything remained a story only. So now we have this fourth draft. Let us see what happens with this. So let us get some idea about key provisions of this bill. I told you already, to privatize discoms, and privatization will be done by sub-licensing. Sub-licensing means one organization, one company getting license, and below that other companies getting license, and other companies below that might be the private companies, and the franchise model also. To restrict deferment of revenue recovery and reduction in cross subsidy. I told you, electricity in our country has a problem. These households are provided electricity at a very subsidized rate, but that burden is given to industrialists. Okay, in the industry, electricity is very high tariff. Similarly, it goes for railway also. The passenger trains are very cheap, but the goods trains are, the good tariff is very high. So that is also cross subsidization, and but this is not very good for business, very not much sustainable. So this bill says that we should reduce cross subsidization thing in our power sector. That will bring cost reflective tariff, that how much you are using, and you will remember that electricity is very costly. Okay, you will not be provided it for free like Delhi. And simplified tariff also, so that people can understand that how much they are spending and how much they need to pay and how they need to pay. Payment security will also be talked about in this bill. Also, to bring an electricity, this organization, a statutory organization will come up, Electricity Contract Enforcement Authority. And this will deal with issues of non-performance of contract. Two organizations sign a contract and then one organization retracts and doesn't stick to the contract promises, and that leads to uncertainty. So this Electricity Contract Enforcement Authority will enforce contract that if you have signed some promises, please stick to it, provide electricity, and do not create uncertainty among the people and industry. There is a institution in our country, National Load Dispatch Center, that deals with providing electricity. So this bill says that this national load is here electricity load, okay. National Load Dispatch Center will be provided some additional roles, and that will relate to scheduling and dispatch of power, that how much power should be given to which sector, and scheduling when to when, okay. For the renewable sector also the bill talks about and proposes that National Renewable Energy Policy will be brought after this bill, and this National Renewable Energy Policy will deal with energy generated from renewable resources. Bill says that while we are importing or exporting electricity from India and any other country, you saw we have some electricity export and import happening with Bangladesh, probably Nepal also in the border areas, that should be included in cross-border trade sector, power sector, cross-border trade, that should be included in. अच्छा, इसकी applicability कहाँ होगी? This Electricity Act applies to entire country, including now Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir is no more special, Ladakh is no more special. So this Electricity Act will apply in whole country, entire country. So let us talk about this organization which is being created as a statutory body. Electricity Contract Enforcement Authority, right? I talked about in the previous slide. What will be the composition of this? See, this organization, Electricity Contract Enforcement Authority, will be headed by a judge of the High Court who has retired, right? And it is proposed to be set up with the powers of the civil court. Civil court powers will be given, obviously civil court, not criminal court powers will be given, and it will enforce performance of contract, already talked about, purchase and sale and distribution, everything, generating, distribution and transmission, every promises, every contract will be enforced properly so that uncertainty doesn't happen in power sector. Our third topic is Global Energy Review 2020. This report, Global Energy Review, is released by International Energy Agency. We will understand in the next slide what is International Energy Agency or IEA. The report is named as, see, because of COVID-19 situation, the report focuses on global energy condition under COVID-19 crisis. So the report is named as Global Energy Review 2020. That is fine. After that, the impacts of COVID-19 crisis on global energy demand and also the resulting CO2 emissions, whether they are low or more. So it says that about 4.2 billion people, or we can say that 54% of the global population, and that represents 60% of the global GDP, all these are subject to partial lockdown or complete lockdown. You understand? If we talk about the world's population, 54% of the global population, a little more than half of the global population, in numbers it will be 4.2 billion. And if we consider the GDP of the global GDP they produce, these 54% people produce global GDP, 60% part of global GDP. All these people, all this section is under either complete lockdown or partial lockdown. So what does this report talk about? Report provides projections. Projections means future predictions of energy demand and energy related emissions. Already said in this report only, global energy demand and CO2 emissions. So while we talk about global energy demand, it says that during lockdown, partial or complete, there has been a decline of 3.8% in the first quarter of 2020 already, and I think with increasing quarter this decline will be more, and now it is rising maybe, but second quarter must be more. India's energy demand reduced by almost 30%. Okay, see, in the first quarter of 2020, India's energy demand reduced by almost 30%. You should know that, you should remember this number. Average oil prices fell sharply also. You know already why. Many industries are not working. Many transport sectors are not working. Even your air transport has reduced. International flights are not happening. So oil prices, demand will fall. Then oil prices will fall, demand will fall, prices will fall. So about demand, International Energy Agency says that we are expecting that overall in 2020 the electricity demand, we are talking about electricity demand, that will fall by 5%. So now let us discuss International Energy Agency. See, this is an autonomous body, not under any other body, and it is within Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. This is an autonomous body. That doesn't mean that it is being controlled by OECD. Okay, OECD has created it, right? But this works independently because see, India is not a member of Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, right? Still, this agency is producing report for India. So that means this agency is very autonomous, and it is made of 30 member countries from the OECD. Before becoming a member country of International Energy Agency, there are conditions that you must fulfill some criteria. First of all, you should be having reserve. What is that reserve? It must have crude oil or product reserve equivalent to 90 days of the previous year's net imports. So India doesn't have it, so India is not a member, but India is an associate member of the International Energy Agency. What is that? That for becoming the member of this International Energy Agency, you must fulfill some criteria. One criteria is very important, that suppose in one particular year you had 100 barrels or 100 tons, whatever you imported, right? So in the next year you must have reserves equivalent to, you divide 100 by 365 and multiply by 90 days. Okay, so for equivalent to 90 days of the previous year's net imports, the reserves must be present in the country, whether it is crude oil reserve or product reserve, that is okay. But 90 days equivalent of your previous year imports, 90 days equivalent of previous year import, that should be reserved in your country as an oil. That then only you will become a member of International Energy Agency. See, this is the map of International Energy Agency members. These dark green ones are its members, and you see India, China, these countries are associate members only. Brazil also associate member. Asa, let's do some map work. Can you tell me which country is this? Can you tell me which country is this? Next topic, very conceptual and very important, and your Indian topic, public utility service. Why this is in news? Because something has happened. Our Ministry of Labor and Employment, see, this is not Ministry of Finance or something. Ministry of Labor and Employment has declared that entire banking industry in India is now a public utility service for 6 months. That 6 months means till the October 2021. Sorry, correcting myself. This news came in April, right? October 21 is the date, not 2021. This is for 6 months. So for 6 months, Ministry of Labor and Employment says that entire banking sector or banking industry in India is now public utility service. And how they have done it? They have done it by using Industrial Dispute Act 1947. See, no Banking Regulation Act, no RBI Act. This is done by Industrial Disputes Act 1947. Now coming to the disputes. Why? See what is happening actually. In your Industrial Dispute Act of 1947, which is enforced by Labor and Employment Ministry, in your Industrial Dispute Act 1947, there is a section 296, and that section says that government, okay, appropriate government, a state government or union government as per the need, government may declare any industry specified in the first schedule of Industrial Disputes Act. So there are many industries specified in this first schedule of Industrial Disputes Act 1947, and banking industry is also present there. So government may declare that industry as public utility service for a period of 6 months by issuing a simple official gazette notification. And also, if the government feels the need, government may extend that period from 6 months also, extra from 6 months also. So these are some public utility services listed there. Already there are some public utility services. For example, say railway service, okay, or any transport service for the carriage of passenger or goods by air. So air service, railway service, okay, any service in connection with port or dock, major ones. A section of industrial establishment on the working of which a safety and establishment or the workmen employed therein depends. You suppose that, you understand that any sector working, any section of a suppose one industrial establishment is there, any section of that industrial establishment which is responsible for the safety of the establishment entirely, that section also is public utility service. Also, your postal, telegraph, or telephone services are also public utility services. Power, light, or water is also public utility service. And public conservancy or sanitation is also public utility service. Now, banking industry is also declared as public utility service for 6 months. Why is that? We will discuss that, but before that, let us discuss what is the characteristic features of public utility service and why they are very essential. First of all, protection of consumers is given priority in public utility services because these services are necessities of daily life. And that is why if suppose someone is not providing some public utility service, they are not providing you water, so exploitation is possible. You will purchasing, suppose you were purchasing water at 5 rupees per liter. If they're not giving you the water, you might be ready to give even 1000 rupees, 10,000 rupees when it comes to life. Okay, so that exploitation of the consumer is possible. So we need to protect the consumers, so that is why they are made some public utility services. Supply of essential services should not be only at lower prices. First of all, this should be lowerly priced also, and that should be constantly managed, maintained. Why? Sanitation, water, and everything is very much essential for daily life, and constancy and lower prices the requirement. That is why they are public utility services. Also, special franchise. Public utility concerns are given special powers and privileges so that regular and satisfactory supply is maintained. The privileges and special status is conferred by the legislations. Okay, sometimes for public utility services, government passes some legislation, and that is how the utility is maintained, constancy is maintained, satisfaction is maintained. There is large investment also because public utility services are for the masses, so there is need of large investment. Okay, and that investment is capital. The running amount is also there, but the capital investment or fixed asset investment is very much in large amount. Public regulations also, because public utility undertakings are generally created by special legislations of the parliament and state legislatures, so they are maintained by public regulations or public laws. Also, there is no business risk in public utility service. Why? What does that mean? That is why, because public utility services are always required, demand is always present, so there is no business risk at all. There is no risk that the demand will reduce or not. Water's demand, sanitation demand is not going to reduce. For pricing policies, see, the primary aim of the public utility service is what? To help the society in getting their essential services done, and that essential services must be done at reasonable price. So pricing policies are also there. And also monopoly position. You might think that monopoly should not be maintained, but for the regularity and constancy, not much competition is expected, and public utility enterprises are sometimes given monopoly. Consider your railway, complete monopoly. Now the privatization is happening slowly, but railway is mostly your monopolistic situation only, right? These undertakings are the outcome of a special legislation, railways created by act also. The entry of other concerns is barred to these fields. Okay, other concerns like competition and all should be happening. Competition commission of India should look into that. Those are not the consideration. We just maintain this public utility service at cheap price and constancy. Monopoly position is necessary. That is why, to avoid duplication in providing these services also. Now the most important point, then why banks were included. You know, the COVID-19 situation. So many people need the banking services, desperately need them, and many industries also. Suppose tomorrow a bank goes for a strike, what will happen? The economy is already in shackles, very much problematic situation. If the banks close, then industries will be affected, the people will be affected, the banking services will be affected. So we must maintain them. That is why the government has, through your Industrial Dispute Act 1947 by Labour Ministry, these banking services are declared as public utility service, so that no banks, no people can go for the strike and lockout. So similar condition like public utility service for lockout of public utility service. What is lockout? I will explain you. So what is the objective? Objective is that to ensure protection of the customers and serve them in a better way during the economic crisis and COVID-19 pandemic. So we need to understand that banks should not go for lockout, because now they are declared as public utility service. So what is lockout? What is a strike? And what is the difference? See, your Industrial Dispute Act also has the definition of lockout and says that temporary closing of a place or employment, or the suspension of work, or refusal by an employer to continue to employ any number of persons employed by him, that is lockout. So a banking company or any company decides that they will close their place for the employment, that no, we are not employing any people, now we are firing all of you, or they suspend the work they were doing, or they refuse to employ new people or continue to employ the new people. That is called lockout, right? A strike is different. Industrial Dispute Act says that cessation of work by a body of persons employed in any industry. See, this lockout is happening by the head of the industry, okay? He says that we won't provide you the services, we are locking down, and we won't employ new people, we will fire the old people, previous people. So that is lockout, that is prohibited now because public utility service. And a strike is something different. A strike is that some people decide, some people or some people's body and institution, like for example there are workers association in banking also, right? So they decide that we will not do the work, okay, or they come to a common understanding that they will refuse the work together, and any number of person can be involved. So but they have been employed to continue the work, और यही जो होगा स्ट्राइक कहलाता है. The last one is very small topic. International Labour Organization monitor for COVID-19 and the world of work. The whole report will be called as ILO monitor COVID-19 and the world of work. I told you already that this ILO started to release this monitor COVID-19 and the world of work this year because of COVID-19, and already this one which we are studying is the third report. And while I deliver this lecture, I think fourth report has also come in the month of May, on 27th May. We will study this topic, the fourth report also later. But currently today we are studying this third report, ILO monitor COVID-19 and the world of work. These are called as editions. So total 4 editions have come. We are studying the third edition of COVID-19 and the world of work by ILO. So this measures the impact on labor markets by COVID-19, and there are some data, not very important, just remember that. It says that if we see the employed people in countries with workplace closure can be complete closure or partial closure. So 81% people are employed in those countries which are seeing partial closure or complete closure because of COVID-19. And when this report came, this measured the data on the 1st of April 2020. So this is a very aggravating situation, right? 81% of the workers are present in those countries which are seeing the lockdown, partial or complete. So how will the production industry will work? And many people won't get the wages also. Also the report says that 37.5% of the employment is in risk sectors. What are risk sectors? Risk sectors are considered at high risk because of disruption. For example, accommodation, food service activities, retail trade. These are all risk sectors currently. Manufacturing and real estate, because these are very much affected by COVID-19. So these are risk sectors. 37, for example, YouTubing. Right now you are studying from your home, right? I'm producing this lecture on YouTube. So this is not a risk sector. Okay, we are not going outside. But these things, food services, accommodation, who will go to hotel right now? Who will go to tourist places? So these are risk sectors, and employment in risk sector is almost 37.5%. So again, a very problematic situation. And also it says that there has been a decline in working hours, and that decline is 6.7% as of 1st April 2020. This estimation is for the first quarter of the year, okay? January to March. So that is all for today in class 12. While we start the class 13 tomorrow, we will try to complete the remaining topics of April month economy section. Let us see how much we can do. Let's wait for tomorrow. See you tomorrow. Take care. Bye bye.